años, esta comunidad de los ojos ha servido como hogar para las tradiciones que Tierra Wolves ha preservado por generaciones.
If you haven't been to Las Cruces in over a year, you'll be surprised to see that the brand new Las Cruces Convention Center is now completed.
Here in the small town of Los Brazos, the tradition of family and community go hand in hand, especially during the holidays.
After 85 years, the Journalism and Mass Communications Department here at New Mexico State University has decided to withdraw its accreditation from its program. However, that does not mean that they're going to withdraw their responsibilities to their students.
Mexico, in this 120-year-old mercantile, Tierra Wolves continues to pass down their traditions to many generations.
Although all this snow is amazing, it is even more amazing the way this community has come together in a time of crisis. Most of the buildings that were damaged during the winter storm have now been rebuilt and are open for summer tourism. Bowlers not only brought themselves, but they brought 37,000 other friends and family members to the downtown area, which meant big bucks for Albuquerque. Crews are searching for 2 women that got lost yesterday afternoon here in the Northeast Mountains. With events like roping for the kids and even Dutch oven baking, Cowboy Days is something everyone can enjoy.
The fine art of sheep shearing is slowly dying out in New Mexico, but the Cordova brothers are keeping this tradition alive.
This fire in the South Valley is now 100% contained after burning several acres last night. This 119-year-old mercantile houses colorful traditions such as wool dyeing. Artisans hope that the younger generation will keep these traditions alive. With the number of sheep decreasing in New Mexico, Shepherd's Lamb has managed to stay on top of the market.
The art of sheep shearing slowly disappearing in New Mexico, and few keep this dying tradition alive. More on that when News 22 continues.
Texas. Live at 6:30, Southern New Mexico's #1 news source.
A fire at a duplex near NMSU is under investigation this afternoon. Good evening and thank you for choosing News 22 Wednesday. I'm Lisa Martinez. Story tops our look at news from around the state in tonight's New Mexico Minute. Tres Piedras native Sammy Gudale died in November 2007 after suffering severe head injuries in a rollover car accident just north of Hatch.
News 22 Sports.
Even before the WAC gets started, we have good news coming from the men's basketball program.
Tell us about the rodeo, Lisa.
Yes, my boys were in Albuquerque this past weekend, and I bet you're wondering how they did. Right now in the standings, we have Cody Lostro sitting in first, and JB Mooney, who's been holding a steady second.
Lisa Martinez is here with our nation's weather. How is it, Lisa?
We have wetter than normal conditions in the west, drier and milder than normal conditions in the southwest and the southeast, which can cause some severe fire conditions. And in Las Cruces for tonight, you're going to need a light jacket, 52 degrees for the low, and tomorrow a high of 86 with partly cloudy skies.
New Mexico houses many traditional trades originating in hard economical times. A trade still woven into New Mexico's culture is one Tierra Wolves is working hard to continue threading through the future.
We have a curriculum that we developed here with an instructor that was hired through Ganados del Valle, Rachel Brown, a well-known instructor that helped us to develop a curriculum, and we now teach that curriculum. People come in for a week and they go away with either a beginning weaving or advanced weaving.
For over 25 years, Tierra Wolves has been preserving a lifetime tradition brought to the area by their Spanish ancestry, struggling to keep it alive in this vast era of technology.
We started at the convent by the church. There were hobby weavers there that learned how to weave, but it was through home education and livelihood program. And the church had bought looms, and so that's where the weavers wove.
Sheep shearing, spinning and dyeing wool to make beautiful tapestries, ruanas, rebozos, vests, and jackets is not something modern-day society pays much attention to.
We're trying to survive. we're operating on a skeleton crew right now. We've had to lay off people, and time will tell whether we can get them back. But it's our hope that our struggles over the years will eventually sustain us and be able to survive the bad economy that everyone is suffering from.
Here in Los Ojos, New Mexico, in this 120-year-old mercantile, Tierra Wolves continues to pass down the traditions to many generations. Hoping those who take the time to harvest these dying skills will continue to pass down the traditions, Tierra Wolves is working hard to preserve.
We are trying to develop a school. We're trying to get the younger generation interested so that it doesn't die, because we're all getting old, and it's worth saving.
The members and employees have all had to learn how to be a voice for this community-owned business.
Been on Good Morning America. We've had a lot of exposure. We've been to Washington for the Smithsonian.
As the threads keep passing through the looms, continuing the tradition, Tierra Wolves and its founders hope they are leaving a future.
That's what we've worked for over 20 years. It's important for the younger generation to know who they are, where they come from, history, tradition, culture, all important.
Where tradition makes and sustains the final product many have worked hard to design.
Chama, heaven on earth as some would say. But after this past winter, many residents would disagree.
We had a total of 187 inches of snow in town. And as you can see behind me here, we had the Chama Valley supermarket that was back here collapsed.
Chama residents have been traveling out of town to get everything and anything they need.
That's kind of hard, especially when the gas is going up and everything else. So it's a little frustrating to go out of town every time you need something.
When Chama went under this winter, Mayor Archie Vigil didn't waste any time in getting the Chama Valley above ground again.
We pulled through it with the help of a lot of contractors, everybody coming from all over the state of New Mexico.
Most of the buildings that were damaged during the winter storm have now been rebuilt and are open for summer tourism.
Yeah.
Mayor Archie Vigil's efforts are far from over. Rebuilding the grocery store after it collapsed because of snow damage is top priority.
I think it's going to be a new face for the village, and something new, something to look forward to.
Chama residents are out of the snow and well into the summer months. And not only did flowers come with the summer, but the foundation for a new future came as well. In Chama, Lisa Martinez, KOAT, Action 7 News. Being raised in the Chama Valley area, you know the country and everyone from one side of town to the other. But seeing it from the sky is an entirely different experience. Flying above Chama with Mayor Archie Vigil, you can see why the locals say Chama is heaven on earth.
When God shed a tear in America, his last drop was here in Chama, in the Chama Valley area.
But it's not all easy going for the community of Chama.
We're struggling a little, but I think we're going to come out of it.
This past winter, Chama was hit by a massive snowstorm that left the area underneath a deep blanket of snow.
You could only see the red and the green, the tops of each and every house in this area.
Chama is working on reconstructing their only grocery store, which collapsed after they received several feet of snow last winter.
It's getting rebuilt now as we speak. It should be done by mid-October.
Not only is the grocery store being rebuilt due to the snow damage, but so is the local church.
With the building fund that we have, we're hoping within a couple of months we'll have at least a notion of what kind of building we're going to be building for the new church.
Chama is at their best during summer when the train is running.
The train runs from Memorial Weekend all the way till mid-October, which would be the 19th of October this year.
And when their yearly festival is being held, Chama Days.
You can see the rodeo arena and the ballpark. This is where Chama Days really happens every second week of August.
The winter months attract big game hunters, skiers, and tourists from all over the state who want to enjoy the winter snow. With tourists coming and going during every part of the year, the one thing to remember is
all we ask is when anybody comes here from out of town, leave your rules, your laws, wherever you come from, because this is Chama and you're on Chama time, and that's why we like to keep things.
And for the locals, that time works out just great. From above Chama, Lisa Martinez, KOAT, Action 7 News.
I've never seen this much snow in my entire life.
I've seen in 8 years this much. Now they tell me in the past they used to get this much.
I'm estimating since I can remember it was probably in 1978, the last storm that I can remember.
After a snowstorm dumped over 42 inches of snow in less than 48 hours, Governor Bill Richardson immediately mobilized the National Guard and made available $750,000 in relief funds.
The National Guard has been instrumental in getting to areas where people are shut in and helping them get medicine, helping them dig out, just basically making sure they're okay.
Chama has already seen over 149 inches of snow for the year, and the area is still expected to receive more. Although all this snow is amazing, it is even more amazing the way this community has come together in a time of crisis. Community members, volunteers from the Salvation Army, and counties from throughout the state came to Chama to help.
To help the community of Chama, distributing food and firewood, digging people out, stuff like that.
After discussions about the progress being made, crews head out to surrounding areas to help anyone who needs it. The Chama Valley area has one local grocery store which was condemned after the roof collapsed. And it was the same story for St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
Well, they cannot be restored. The roof not only collapsed once, but it collapsed twice. So I think it'll just have to be torn down, and we're going to have to start from the grassroots. But we know that with the grace of God, we will rise from the ashes.
Efforts will continue for several weeks, but the National Guard has done their part and have now left Rio Arriba County. And what about school? School was canceled last week and is expected back in session soon. For now, kids have abandoned their studies, picked up shovels, and will be ready to go back to school when that time comes. In Chama, New Mexico, Lisa Martinez, News 22.
This is the gateway to an old tradition on a humble ranch nestled in northern New Mexico. A place where rancher Antonio Manzanares has worked hard to keep the tradition alive.
My wife Molly and I got into the sheep business about 30 years ago in a small way. I think we bought 14 sheep.
Customers have flocked to Shepherd's Lamb for years because of its tasty flavor.
Especially now to connect with the rancher or the farmer. They want to know where their food comes from.
Shepherd's Lamb not only markets organic meat, but also wool. All this business is just part of the tradition that has become everyday life on the ranch.
We didn't know. We used to be just ranchers, boom, 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 raise them and put them on a semi and send them to somebody else. Well, we found out that we were not going to be in business for very long if we kept doing that.
It's been a successful recipe for nearly 30 years, but the economy has challenged even this steadfast industry.
It's flattened out. People are watching their P's and Q's and their dollar bills a little bit closer now.
With the number of sheep decreasing in New Mexico, Shepherd's Lamb has managed to stay on top of the market. Shepherd's Lamb is making a run at another 30 years in the market and will continue to serve customers and their needs, regardless of what gates they have to open. In La Puente, New Mexico, Lisa Martinez. The sounds of clippers being prepared for the first buzz of the season. For these sheep, but for the Cordova brothers, it's just the beginning of another shearing season.
As far as what we do for sheep shearing, we come out to several different places all over New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and shear, which means take the wool off the sheep.
Although it may be a dying tradition in the U.S. and especially in New Mexico, because it's just back-breaking work, for the Cordova brothers, it's part of their yearly routine.
It's been in the family for generations. My grandfather sheared, my father sheared, and my brother sheared, and I started shearing sheep.
And these two sheep barbers have around 2,500 customers a year. For the sheep, it's like removing a wool coat before heading out for a day on the beach. But it's no picnic for the Cordova brothers.
As you can tell, you have to be in very good shape to shear sheep, otherwise it makes it for a very long, miserable day.
And though the shearing goes on for now, the Cordova brothers admit it'll only be a short time before this tradition is forgotten.
If kids, our younger generation don't pick up shearing, there's not going to be any shearers out there, and therefore it's going to be harder and harder for farmers and ranchers to find a shearer. So it is very important.
The fine art of sheep shearing is slowly dying out in New Mexico, but the Cordova brothers are keeping this tradition alive. If it's up to anyone to keep the clippers humming, it's up to young Josh, who will hopefully take the job into its 4th generation.
If he wants to learn how, I'll show him. If not, it's something it's his decision.
In Chama, New Mexico, Lisa Martinez, News 22. The legendary cowboy is still alive and well in New Mexico. And this rustic event, held at the New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum, is living proof.
Tried to talk to as many representatives as we could, artists, the dowsing, the biscuit makers. I have some tips. I'm going to try to make some good New Mexico biscuits now.
For just $3, visitors saw horseshoeing, arts and crafts, and even took a look back in time at the Old West. With events like roping for the kids and even Dutch oven baking, Cowboy Days is something everyone can enjoy. Even the youngest of kids got in on some of the action.
We're teaching some kids to rope for Cowboy Days through the Horsemen's Association, just dummy roping and that fun stuff. We've had a bunch of kids. Pretty much every kid that comes by just wants to stop and rope for a while, and it's been a lot of fun.
In today's fast-paced world, Cowboy Days is a way to slow it all down and bring it back to the pace of the Old West. In Las Cruces, New Mexico, Lisa Martinez, News 22.